The government works for us and is accountable to us, and thus must be transparent to us. This seems pretty basic to everyone except the government. A case in point is the curious attitude that the feds now have about the Freedom of Information Act, commonly known by its initials, FOIA. FOIA is a federal law enacted in 1966 that requires the government to make its documents available to anybody who wants to see them. There are exceptions in the statute, of course, for military, diplomatic, and national security secrets, and for personnel matters about government employees. But for the most part, FOIA exposes the government to the folks who own and employ it. That is you, America. The presumption in FOIA is that every document that the government has is available to anyone who wants to see it. Thus, it is not the obligation of the person seeking the documents to demonstrate his need for them before they're turned over. It is the obligation of the government to demonstrate its need for secrecy in order to keep from handing the documents over. This is not an academic distinction. This presumption requires the government to search for whatever is demanded and to keep a record of whatever it finds, and to tell the person seeking the documents whether it will turn them over or whether it will not turn them over on the basis of the statute. Once the government tells the person seeking the documents that it has the documents he seeks but chooses not to reveal them, that person can just accept that or appeal the government's decision to a federal judge. Then the government must show those documents that it wants to keep secret to a federal judge, and the judge will decide if the government is right or wrong. Sometimes the government pulls a fast one and deep sinks documents it doesn't want anybody to see. But destroying government property is a felony, and most federal employees, we can safely assume, don't want to go to jail. So most will candidly tell the court what they found and why it should be an exception to the presumption of openness. All this was the law until now. Now comes the Obama administration Justice Department with an incredible proposed rule that sounds as if it were straight out of George Orwell's terrifying novel, 1984. Freedom Watch viewers have heard me argue that the government lies, cheats, and steals. Now the feds want legal permission to do so. Here's the latest. The so-called Department of Justice is charged with administering FOIA, and in the process of doing so, from time to time, it proposes rules and procedures to the government employees who have custody of documents. Those rules are available to the public and to Congress for 30 days. If the Congress does not intercede, then the proposed rules become law. I know. The Constitution says that only Congress can write the laws, but you know how far we've strayed from the Constitution. So here's what happened. 2 weeks ago, the Justice Department actually proposed a rule that permits custodians of documents anywhere in the federal government to lie about whether the documents being sought actually exist, to lie to you when you seek the documents, to lie to other federal employees about the location of the documents, and incredibly, to lie to federal judges when the documents are presented for review. Congress can invalidate this proposed rule by a majority vote of both houses, but it must do so soon. So the government, which does work for us, which derives all of its powers from us, which has sworn to uphold the Constitution for us, now wants to give itself the lawful power to lie to us. This is the hope and change and transparency that entered the White House 2.5 years ago. And this must be rejected.